Republican Governor Rick Scott is running an attack ad against Senator Bill Nelson, who's a Democrat. And the ad basically says that Senator Nelson hasn't been productive in his 4 decades of service.
I'm Rick Scott, and I approve this message.
In 1978, the Ford Pinto was the best-selling small car in America. Gas was 63 cents a gallon, and Bill Nelson was elected to Congress.
Okay, anyone with Google can tell you that that's all true, but what about the real attack? The message Republican Rick Scott is trying to get across to all voters is that it's time for some new blood in Washington.
40 years later, a lot of things change, but Bill Nelson is still in Washington.
I looked up Nelson's biography. The 75-year-old got involved in politics in 1972 with his election in the Florida legislature. He then served 6 terms in Congress representing Orlando and the Space Coast. In 1994, he was elected to the Florida cabinet as state treasurer, insurance commissioner, and fire marshal. Nelson was first elected to the U.S. Senate in November of 2000.
Besides reading speeches, what's Nelson done all those years? 349 times he's voted for higher taxes.
So has Nelson really voted that much for higher taxes? Well, that's an answer I had a hard time trying to verify. According to congressional records, he's sponsored 890 pieces of legislation and co-sponsored more than 3,600, 249 pieces of legislation involving taxation. Now, Nelson's campaign responded, saying that the issue has consistently been debunked by fact-checkers. They sent me a PolitiFact article from November of 2012 when Republican opponent Connie Mack claimed that Nelson voted 272 times for higher taxes. Well, that article says Nelson did make some votes that raised taxes, but Mack grossly inflated the numbers by counting multiple votes on the same bill, non-binding resolutions, and some fees that only affected a slice of the population. But a more recent article published by PolitiFact Florida on July 9th says the current claims about Nelson voting 349 times for higher taxes is also inflated and cites some of those same reasons from 2012.
Isn't a half-century in Washington enough?
Nelson's campaign says that's just false. He was elected to the Senate in 2000. He served 12 years in the House prior to that. So that's 40 straight years in D.C. A long time, sure, but it's a decade short than a half a century. Is there a campaign ad that you're curious about? Maybe something that just doesn't sound right? Email me at austin@firstcoastnews.com and I'll verify it for you.